Sirens. Mythological sea creatures known in ancient history to be like dark mermaids who seduce sailors into the sea with their hypnotic voice, pulling them beneath the ocean, never to be seen again. Where did these fascinating ancient creatures derive from? We hear about them in folklore and mythology, as well as seeing them being depicted in pop culture, such as movies like Pirates of the Caribbean starring Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, and TV series like Xena, the Warrior Princess, starring Lucy Lawless as Xena. Each time, these strange and alluring characters are revealed to be like dark mermaids, but as I researched the history of these mermaid-like women of the sea, I came to find that what we know about sirens today is in fact incorrect. So how did the ancient Greeks truly see sirens? Join me in this episode of Myths, Legends, and Lore as we dive into the truth about these devious creatures, no pun intended. My research took me to the mysterious ancient Greek waters of the Mediterranean. Homer, an 8th century Greek poet who was said to have been the author of the two oldest epics, Iliad and the Odyssey, written around 750 BCE. And in the epics, Homer introduces his readers to the sirens. But nowhere in the epics did it mention the physical appearance of the sirens. It is easy to assume that these creatures were of the ocean, but that isn't even specified in the epics either. Archaeologists have come to find that the first physical appearance of these demon-like sea creatures had begun being carved into burial tombs as far back as 7,000 years ago. The sirens were not shown to be like mermaids who live in the depths of the ocean. Instead, the sirens were shown to be half bird and half human. So I'm sorry to ruin the image for you listeners, but I'm not done just yet. You see, I was also surprised to learn this in my research. I didn't let that discourage me though. I found it quite funny, in fact. It is just another one of those moments where society again today has changed something about mythological history to satisfy our eyes, books, movies, and TV shows. Not surprising at all. Now, according to Emily Wilson, a professor of the classics at the University of Pennsylvania, was quoted in an article titled "Sirens of Greek Myth Were Bird Women, Not Mermaids," states this: "In the eyes of traditional peoples all across Europe, birds were often graced with an otherworldliness associated with gods, spirits, and omens. They inhabit the water, the earth, and the air." She also states, "They're also associated with song. They have voices that are not human, and movements that are not human." End quote. The author of the article, Asher Albine, goes on to say, quote, "The siren's role in tomb art is particularly telling. In ancient Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cultures, as far back as 7,000 years ago, birds were often depicted carrying spirits to the underworld. An Anatolian vulture goddess sweeping away the dead with broom-like wings suggests by some to be a precursor to the siren. It's pictured on the walls of a 6,500 BCE Turkish settlement. Now jump ahead a few millennia to 1550 BCE, by which time baumbirds, depictions of departing souls as human-faced birds, began appearing in Egypt. That connection between birds and dead souls seems to have then hopped over to Greece. Writing in the 5th century BCE, the playwright Euripides described the sirens as the beck and call of Persephone, the daughter of Zeus and Demeter and goddess of the harvest and fertility, and also one of the rulers of the underworld, while other writers identified the sirens as rivals and dark echoes of the Muses, the goddesses of creativity. These are the sirens the ancient Greeks would have recognized, the bird-like creatures of the underworld bridging the human world and what lies beyond. The sirens and their fateful songs then offered a glimpse behind the veil, a chance to hear how earthly glories would echo in eternity." End quote. Now, Wilson states, quote, "The question of what song the sirens sing is forbidden knowledge. The text leaves a lot of open space there. Therein lies the seduction." End quote. Right around the time that the Iliad and the Odyssey was said to have been written, archaeologists today have found paintings and ceramics of that time depicting the sirens and even the epics. On one ancient Greek vase, which can be viewed today at the British Museum, the vase is actually called the Siren vase. Archaeologists suggest that the vase is showing, quote, the ship of Odysseus and the sirens, end quote. We also see the ocean, however. We do not see the sirens coming from or going into the sea, however. What is shown are bird-like humans flying above the ship, and, as in the epic, trying to lure Odysseus into the sea. Like shown here on the siren vase, Odysseus is tied to the ship to protect him from voluntarily jumping to his death into the ocean. So do you think archaeologists are correct at calling this vase the Siren vase? Do you believe this vase, dated to the same time as the epics, depicts the sirens of the legends? Comment down below. But I still needed another question answered. How did society today truly get confused between two mythological creatures, mermaids and sirens? Looking to the same article, Wilson suggests that later writers might have conflated sirens with water nymphs like the Lorelei, a 19th century poetic creation whose seductive songs lure men to their deaths along not an ocean, but one specific river, the Rhine River. The sirens likely got sucked into the mix too by the explosion of seductive mermaid iconography during the same period. So there you have it, listeners, the truth about the sirens. Now, nothing says that pop culture needs to start correcting the mistake of calling mermaids sirens. And anyway, one question remains, at least for me. Remember when Wilson stated that legends say that there were sirens of water, air, and earth? Well, who says the bird sirens were the sirens of the sea? Seeing as these were birds, it makes more sense to say that those sirens were air sirens who could seduce a sailor to jumping into the sea. If this is true, then could the image that we have today actually be correct? Only time will tell. We need more proof to show and tell us exactly what all the species of sirens looked like to the ancient Greeks. This is but one that archaeologists have discovered so far. So I argue here that we need more proof that these sirens on the vase and told to us in the epics are in fact water sirens, as insinuated in the article that I shared with you today and in the epics. What are your thoughts and opinions? Respectfully comment and discuss down below. Well, until next time, as always, keep loving history and stay curious. Bye.